Hello, my name is Sean Briscoe, and in this presentation I will take a look at the World Schools Debate format, specifically looking at two separate things. First, what is the World Schools Debate model? What does it look like? But second, the philosophy of international debating. I do put British parliamentary debate on the title slide. That's primarily because my collegiate background in terms of international debating is through British parliamentary debate, and that is the format that the World Schools Debate format was modeled after when it was created. So first of all, the speaking order for World Schools Debate. There are three individuals who will be speaking in any given debate. In most competitions, you have the opportunity to have a 5-person team, but you are selecting 3 people who will actually speak. So the very first speech in the debate is the first speaker from the proposition team, or in American formats, that would be the affirmative or the pro team. You will introduce us to the debate with an 8-minute speech highlighting the central issues that the debate should be about, what it is that we're actually arguing about, and you'll give us some constructive material. Then, following that speech, you will have the first speech by an opposition speaker. That also is an 8-minute speech. That person is laying out the conception of the debate from the opposition or the con or the negative team's perspective and introducing us to some offensive material or some content on the debate. Then you have the second speaker from the proposition team giving us another 8-minute speech. This speaker is going to add to the understanding of the debate. They will actually run new arguments in the debate. Following that, you have another 8-minute speech by the second speaker from the opposition team, again adding more depth, more ideas, new constructive material to the debate. Then you have the third speaker from the proposition team who has an 8-minute speech. Now this individual is primarily dealing with engaging with both sides of the debate, looking at all of the material presented by the first 4 speakers and adding depth to that material. Then you have the third speaker from the opposition team, again an 8-minute speech. This person does the same thing as the third speaker from the proposition team, adding depth to the argumentation that's already in the round. Then you have the opposition rebuttal speech, sometimes referred to as a whip speech in international formats of debate. This person could be any of the 3 speakers from the opposition team. It's a 4-minute speech. You're looking back at all of the debate that took place prior to this and the 6 speeches previous, and summarizing the entire debate, crystallizing the debate for the judge, explaining what issues are important, which ones are not, which team won various arguments, and so forth. And then finally, the last speech in the debate is another 4-minute rebuttal speech or a whip speech by the proposition speaker, summarizing the entire debate round. And again, that can be any of the 3 speakers from the proposition team. Now, one of the things that's different in World Schools Debate from the formats of debate that are usually practiced in the United States is that instead of having a cross-examination period or a crossfire period, you can offer points of information during your opposing team's speech. So if I'm on the proposition team or the affirmative team, while the opposition team is speaking, I would actually stand up and try and be recognized, and I would offer my point of information. Now we do have protected time during those speeches, so the first and last minute of each speech you cannot interrupt your opposing speaker, okay? But the 6 minutes that are in the middle, you can. You stand up, you try and get recognized. Now, you don't want to make a big show of it. You don't want to interrupt the flow of their speech and so forth. You just stand up, try and be recognized. It is up to that speaker whether or not they want to take your point of information. So you may find that they will say, no, not at this time. They may just simply wave their hand in a downward motion, signifying that you should sit back down, okay? When you offer a point of information, another thing that's very different from traditional American formats of debate is that a point of information does not have to be a question. You actually can make an argument. Now that argument needs to be done in less than 15 seconds, or your question, whatever it is that you're offering as your point of information, it needs to be done in less than 15 seconds. In fact, I would strive to do it in somewhere between 7 to 10 seconds. But you offer your point, and then the speaker will need to integrate his or her response into their speech. Okay, so what are these points of information? Again, it can be a question, it can be a statement, it can be a clarification or a request for clarification, or it can even be an argument. Who offers a point of information? Anyone from the opposing side may stand up and try and be recognized. But it is up to the speaker whether he or she is going to yield the floor to you. So like I said before, you may find that the speaker wants to wave you down or say, no, not at this time, something like that. Again, how do you get recognized? You stand up and try and be recognized. And once you've been recognized, then in 7 to 10 seconds, a maximum of 15 seconds, you will ask your question or make your point. And then when can be any time that you're not in protected time, so not the first or the last minute of a speech, but in the 6 minutes in between. So the philosophy of international debating is a little bit different than what we tend to think of in American formats like policy debate and Lincoln-Douglas debate, in that instead of engaging in a true tit-for-tat push and pull on all of the various arguments in the debate round, we are actually focused on constructing arguments in the debate space. We're looking at building new ideas, constructing arguments, making them to be complete. We're looking at growing those arguments and helping the judge to understand the ideas that are out there. We don't necessarily need to engage in a lot of line-by-line debating. We look at the big picture. Secondly, you're also going to embrace the controversy. I think this is true in American formats of debate, to be honest, but I know that one of the things that happens a lot of times, especially in policy debate, is that sometimes you are rewarded for coming up with a squirrel case or coming up with a case that isn't really topical and trying to fit it into the debate. And coming up with a very clear and nuanced interpretation of the resolution might gain you some critical ground in the debate and make it harder for your opponents to beat you. But the reality of international debating is that we want to embrace the controversy. The motion or the resolution, the topic, was given to you for a reason, and the framers of that topic really want you to explore that specific issue. And the judges are going to reward you for tackling that controversy head on, rather than running away from it or trying to tailor the debate down to a very nuanced interpretation. You don't want to do that. You want to embrace the full controversy of the topic. So the topics are not open to interpretation. They are what they are when they're written, and you're rewarded for driving the controversy forward. Third, you're rewarded by the judges for promoting good debate. Judges in the international community like to see that you are doing everything in your power to make the debate better, even if you're setting yourself up for a difficult round to win or a difficult case to prove, I should say. Okay, they want to see that you are promoting good debate, and you'll be rewarded for doing so. The types of motions that we come up with in international debating, specifically in world schools debate, there's two different things that you can look at. One is in terms of preparation. We have prepared topics and we have impromptu topics. And all that means is that when you go to a competition such as the National Speech and Debate Association's National Championship Tournament, about half of the rounds at the tournament will be prepared topics. They will tell you the motions several weeks in advance of the tournament so that you can go out and do a lot of research on that specific topic. You don't necessarily know if you're going to be on the proposition or the opposition side of the motion, but you can, in fact, go out and do a lot of specific research. And when you go into the round, you may use that research during your speeches and during your preparation time. But then you have impromptu topics. These are the topics that the tournament gives you several minutes before the debate begins. Similar to extemp, you don't know what the topic is going to be. You are simply given the debate topic. Now, unlike extemp, you are not allowed to use any pre-prepared materials to help you construct your cases. Any research, any knowledge that you have about the topic needs to have been done prior to coming to the tournament. So if you want to be really good at World Schools Debate, you're going to do a lot of research on various current events, different framing issues such as notions of justice and equality, international law, and so forth. You want to do lots of research so that when you are confronted with an impromptu topic, you don't need to physically dive into that research. You've done it, you've read it, you've looked at all of these issues, so you can construct your cases and you can craft your speeches in the round. But the second thing about the types of motions that we have in international debating is that we have closed motions. They are not open to interpretation, and I know I spoke on that on a previous slide, but you aren't trying to narrowly define the debate so that you have some sort of strategic ground that makes it difficult for your opponents. Rather, you have been given a topic which should be relatively straightforward, and you know what it is that you are going to do when you enter that debate, what your advocacy is going to be, whether you're on the proposition or the opposition side. We have the predictability because it is a closed interpretation of the motion. And that is world schools debate, or the philosophies behind international debating.